All right, you guys, Johnny Millennium is here with me, and we have gone to go and see a new video game movie. We saw Borderlands. This is based on the very successful Borderlands video games from Gearbox Entertainment. Johnny, are you a fan of the Borderlands games?
Okay, so we're going to start there. I just want to say, I can't believe that I couldn't see Deadpool and Wolverine with you, but I get to see Borderlands. And yes, I know the games. I played them on Xbox 360 as my first introduction. Loved running around, getting loot, getting all those guns. So much fun there, but yeah. And then we saw the movie that was based on that. And Vic, there's so much I want to talk about here. I'm totally disturbed by this movie. I don't even know how to even say, I was actually happy when this movie ended.
Yeah.
But I was joyous in the theater.
I know. It's not a long film, but it overstays its welcome.
Oh.
And I think one of the major problems with this movie is that it's kind of true to the aesthetics of the video game universe, and it does a pretty good job at kind of echoing the look and the vibe and the feel, although I don't think it goes far enough. It feels very sort of hemmed in. It doesn't feel M-rated enough. It doesn't shock us, especially in the aftershock of the Fallout TV show. I think they could have gone way farther
and that's
with
interesting.
this.
That's a great example of bringing the Fallout TV show,
Yes.
taking a video game adaptation and doing it justice and doing it well.
Yeah.
This game has not been done well.
No.
And there's a lot of fan service, there's a lot of things. So if you play the games, you're going to be like, oh, I remember that mask,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. But what really lets this movie down is everything. It is the story, it is the cast, it is the acting, it's the execution, it's everything going forward, right to the ending. It's so formulaic. It's absolutely disgusting, this movie to me. and I don't like saying such a thing. I cannot believe this was made as badly as it was. And I like the actors and actresses. We gotta talk. You can talk about them, and I'll chime in.
Well, the biggest sin that this movie does is that it just leans on exposition. So it either really kind of looks to the viewer to already come in with all of this idea of what this universe is about, this iridium and this planet that's locked up, this vault with all this stuff. It suggests that you know that, or it overloads the viewer with way too much backstory and exposition and information. And it's not just from the ironic narration from Cate Blanchett, who did Galadriel and did the whole Lord of the Rings
I can't believe it.
opening, so there's an echo there. And the other crazy thing that I thought about with Cate Blanchett, I don't know if you've seen the movie Tar, but it is an absolute irony that she went from Tar to starring as a video game character in a video game movie. Tar is excellent, by the way. You should watch that. And she's an amazing actor, and she's playing Lilith in this movie, and I think she looks good.
She looks good.
She got the haircut and the sass and the attitude, but she doesn't have great lines to say, and she's lost in her exposition as well. Every character that comes on screen has to kind of identify themselves and provide all of this expository dialogue, and it's all reference instead of us just getting lost and feeling for these characters. We never get a second to do that.
We never do. And also, this is a really weird movie, and I haven't seen anything like this in a long time, where I'm watching the actors talk up on the big screen, and I can see that they're acting. Like, everybody feels that they're acting. Nobody ever feels that like you get swept into the performances. You're saying, and you're sitting there watching, and you're like, I don't believe you.
They don't believe it.
They don't believe it either. And so we don't believe it. And the visuals are there for sometimes. Sometimes they're not bad.
It looks
some okay sets.
Expensive cosplay.
Yes, exactly.
It's like an expensive fan movie, which is kind of cool, and I know that this is going to appeal to a lot of people that love this lore and love this universe.
I hope so,
They're going to find joy here, and I think there's kind of a cultiness
with it.
thing.
It reminds me of Tank Girl.
It reminded me of Megaforce, even going back.
I know Megaforce.
Battle Beyond the Stars.
I know that.
There's an element of there's some cheesy, fun bits in here, but it's empty calories. And how the do you squander Jack Black? How do you take an actor like that and the character of Claptrap and squander that? Not one laugh.
No, not
The
at all.
whole time.
I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I didn't feel anything in this movie. It's a soulless movie. And that's why I was kind of harsh on it in the beginning. And I really didn't want to. I saw the trailers for this, and I thought, maybe there's a bit of hope in here. Maybe it's going to be a bit of a gem. And sitting down, all of a sudden, in the first minute, I knew what I was in for. And we were off to the races. Oh my! I was like speechless. I was sitting in the movie and I kept looking over at Vic, but he was just like he was actually watching the movie. I'm like, I cannot believe what we're watching.
I was giving the movie the benefit of the doubt. I think
really
until
were.
the midpoint of it, there were a couple of chuckles that I had, not from Claptrap, and I was shocked that they just lost it with that character, because Claptrap is that comedic kind of thread throughout all these Borderlands games, and he doesn't always work in the games, but often
He works in the
character
games for
does.
me more than in this.
Yes, and,
yeah.
and you know, this is Eli Roth directing this, and there's some Hollywood talent behind this, and some megastars. Kevin Hart isn't funny in this, and I admire that Kevin Hart is trying to be a little bit more of a badass in this movie, but you're Kevin Hart, and you hire Kevin Hart, you
Yeah.
want him to have some levity and some
and
joy
he
with
did
his
at
work.
first, but all of it falls
Yeah.
flat.
The-
Every line falls
It's
flat.
like the first 15 minutes, you're like, okay, all right, I'm trying to jive with you. I'm trying to sync up with your wacky attitude, and
Yeah.
you can see some of the shortcuts and
No
you can
pun
see the-
intended.
yeah, you can see some of the issues with the film, but then it just gets squashed. It's
Yes.
just this complete kind of waste. The villain is terrible.
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 Oh,
Just
so
again,
boring.
when you have these like demonic forces that are supposed to be so evil and so world-ending and so brutal, they need to bring it. I mean, you got to look at that.
You gotta look at the part a bit. Yeah.
And you got to really hire to that. I think it's Edgar Ramirez. He's a solid actor, and he's been in lots of good things, but
None of the.
it's really flat in this.
And Jamie Lee Curtis, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I've loved her
Yeah.
in a lot of things she's done. Some things I've not liked, but this I absolutely detest. This is so phoned in.
There's a lot of phoning in.
Yeah, that's what we said
it
about
feels
everybody
like.
already.
And I feel like you can sense that from the actors. You can sense their tenuousness, and they're not fully committed to it. They look like they are.
Yeah.
They wear the costumes well. They wear the insanity of the world well. And there's some interesting aesthetics. I like that Gina Gershon got cast as Moxie, although.
I thought that was.
But she was weak.
Weak?
Yeah, because she
You could
didn't
see
really
the
believe it.
You could see the contact lenses on
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
You could see the makeup, and it just felt like a fan film at that point.
Yes,
Like
but
every single point did
Good
almost nearly.
idea with casting her.
Sure.
Not well directed. We didn't really get the through line. We didn't get the levity. We didn't get the bigness of these characters
And-
that are in the game.
Yeah, and you brought up somebody a second ago who's very important to all this, and that is
Yeah.
Eli Roth, who directed the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
And I like Eli Roth all the way back to Hostel.
Yeah.
Like he did an amazing job there. So it shows he can handle serious stuff and all of that, and a lot of drama with people and things, and handle actors and handle situations like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened here. This is the question, Vic.
Yeah.
This is what we need to figure out. What happened here?
I think this is one of those things where there is absolute awareness that people want something that looks and feels like the property, but there's too much meddling, too many hands on deck. I think it was neutered a little bit. I honestly don't know what the rating on this is, but it feels like it's a
very
PG-13
Yeah,
rating.
yeah.
And this should have been a hard R. This should have been something that got super gory. It's not very bloody. They're not
There's
swearing.
nothing.
And yeah, and it just feels throwaway. It feels very, and it's not that I'm obsessed with that, but it's an M-rated game series that
Yeah.
gets pretty crazy.
Yes.
And even like when grenades are thrown by Tiny Tina, they don't sort of
There's no
register
impact.
with that impact. You don't feel the bombs.
People are shooting all over the place and explosions going off,
Yeah.
and you're like, you don't care. And
Yeah.
that's the thing, you don't care about any of the world or anything, even
Yeah.
though we love the games.
Yeah.
I love the games. I used to play online with my friends all
Yeah,
the time and have
me
a
too.
great time.
Me too. And there's an aesthetic kind of adherence there.
Yeah.
And maybe lots of approvals that had to go back and forth in terms of vibe.
Right.
But the story doesn't really hit, and I think this is going to be a really tough movie for people that don't know anything about this world. I think it's going to be impossible for people to kind of follow and care about these characters. I think they tried to cram like 30 hours a game into an hour and a half movie, and that's a major stumbling block as well. Not
Yeah.
that this is like a kick at this universe that maybe deserved 3 hours, but maybe the idea should have been, let's take from this universe but create a whole separate little siloed story here that maybe shows some of the mainline story that's in the
Right.
Borderlands games, you know?
Well, I'm not complaining that this movie was an hour and a half. I was
Yeah.
so thankful when the credits. Did you know I could predict everything that was going to happen? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, she's going to be the MacGuffin. She's got that.
Yeah.
I know the bad guy's going to get the girl at the end. He's going to hold her ransom.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, when it was happening, I'm like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, this has been a terrible morning.
Yeah, it was-
really has. I hate to say it's great to hang out with Vic.
We're reuniting.
This
and
is
it's
a reuniting time, and we're seeing this darn movie.
a crap movie.
It's a real crap
he
movie.
wasn't feeling well enough to go and see Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, I
with me.
wasn't at that time, and that movie's actually like fantastically
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
And so, yeah, Vic, what are you gonna rate it?
This was weak, man. It was really weak. There's some elements in it that I like, and I like that people tried. But it's just not a fun film, and I don't know who this is for, except for the super diehards that will kind of apologize for this movie forever. It's going to be one of those cult things out there. I'd say. I think a 5 out of 10. What are you going to give it?
I'm going with I think this is my first, a 4.
A 4 out of 10. And I get it. I understand.
And the 4 is for the green screen use, and some of the backgrounds were pretty good at times.
Yeah.
It's for nothing else.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I think 5's too high. I think you're right.
Oh, I'm bringing him down.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Maybe 4's too high. Maybe I'm bringing it down. Maybe down to 3.
I think 5's too high.
It is. I think it is.
It's not even an average movie.
It's not even an average movie.
And that's like my video game fanboy
Yeah.
thing coming into this.
Yeah. That can't even save it
It's
for you.
not a 5.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a 4 out of 10.
You know, for me, he dropped down. I'm dropping down. I'm going to 3.
3, and
3 out of 10.
I understand a 3. It's a
I definitely
terrible
do.
movie.
Terrible.
Don't waste your money.